Welcome to the deep dive, where we take complex source material, strip away all the noise, and really just hand you the foundational knowledge you need.
And today, we are doing something a little different. We're tackling one of the trickiest parts of English grammar,
The 7 future tenses.
the 7 future tenses. But we're not doing it with flashcards or any of those dry grammatical drills. We're doing it through a really thrilling science fiction narrative.
Right. Our source material for this deep dive is this unique linguistic thriller. It's about a historical linguist, Dr. Alex Thorne, whose very predictable past is just completely shattered when he gets an invitation.
Invitation from the future, no less.
Exactly. So the mission today for you is to track Dr. Thorne's journey. He goes to the year 2242, and we're going to be extracting the rules for all the major future forms.
So we're talking future simple, be going the continuous forms, the perfect forms, all of them.
All of them. And we're going to do it just by watching how the characters use them in a real context. We're sort of, using this high-stakes story as a shortcut.
It's the perfect way to do it. It turns these abstract rules into something you can remember, something concrete. You see the tenses not as like technical jargon, but as tools.
Tools that show intention and certainty and how long something lasts.
And Alex Thorne's life, which the story describes as a straight, quiet line of research, is just instantly bent out of shape by this one email.
An email from the Temporal Heritage Institute.
Right. And it doesn't just invite him, it demands a very, very specific appointment.
Yeah, that email, it arrives anonymously, and it immediately sets the stage for our first lesson. It dictates his schedule, and it sort of forces him out of his dusty, predictable world and into this incredibly time-managed future.
Let's jump in there.
Okay, let's unpack this initial communication from Chapter 1, The Impossible Invitation. Alex is, he's completely baffled, right? But the Institute's email, it speaks with this total confidence.
And that confidence is immediately reflected in the grammar they choose. It's fascinating.
How so?
Well, when you're absolutely certain about a future event, when it's already organized and completely fixed, English speakers, we often just drop the future verbs entirely.
You mean like dropping will?
Exactly. We use the present forms instead. And doing that, it communicates a level of clarity and certainty that we'll just can't really touch. It feels more solid.
So the very first piece of information they give Alex is a perfect example of this. It's the present continuous for a fixed arrangement. The invitation says, "A transport is arriving at your coordinates tomorrow at 1400 GMT.
And that's the rule right there. The
Yeah.
present continuous, which, we usually use for something happening right now.
Well, like I am talking into a microphone.
Precisely. But here, it's repurposed for the future, for fixed plans, prearranged appointments, things that are already in your calendar.
So it's like looking at your diary.
It is. You don't usually say, I will be having dinner with John tomorrow, if you've already made the reservation. You say, I am having dinner with John tomorrow.
Because the plan is already made. It's sealed. The Institute is telling Alex this isn't a suggestion. It's a non-negotiable appointment on their intertemporal calendar.
It's locked in.
I wonder, though, why didn't they just continue with that? They reinforce the certainty in the very next line, but they switch the grammar. It says, it departs at 14.05 sharp.
Yeah.
So if the arrival is a fixed arrangement using the continuous, why does the departure suddenly switch to the present simple? Isn't a fixed departure still a fixed arrangement?
That is a fantastic question. And it really forces us to get into a crucial linguistic distinction. It's subtle, but it's so important.
Okay.
When we use the present continuous for the future, we're usually talking about a personal arrangement or, a shared one, something we actively organized.
Like a meeting or that dinner you mentioned. The focus is on the agreement between people.
Exactly. But the present simple, that's reserved for the official, immovable structure of the world. It's for things that follow a schedule or a timetable that is completely independent of the people involved.
Oh, I see. So the transport's arrival is an arrangement for Alex, but its departure.
Its departure is part of its global schedule. It's like a train timetable, or when a movie starts, or the opening hours of a library. Those things happen whether you're there or not.
So the present simple communicates that this event is part of a bigger systemic schedule, a fixed program. The transport departs at 14.05 sharp, because that's the official published time. It's fixed, and it's totally beyond his personal control.
You've got it. It reinforces how incredibly organized the Institute is. The grammar choice itself reflects the nature of the entity making the plan. They are governed by this machine-like precision.
So using the present simple, they're communicating that rigidity. Alex is being forced to follow a timetable that is completely inflexible.
And putting those two forms together in the opening lines is arriving, the personal appointment, and departs, the system's rigid schedule. It immediately sets up the tension, doesn't it?
Yeah, the tension between Alex's messy human world and the optimized structure of 2242.
And this tension just explodes the minute Alex has to react to this impossible request.
Which brings us to the next big one.
Will versus going to.
The classic. It's often the most confusing for people learning English, but the story just solves it by grounding the choice in, like, the psychological reality of the character.
Okay, so let's start with the spontaneous decision. This requires the future simple. Will. Alex is still kind of scoffing at how ridiculous the email is, talking to himself in his office, and he mutters, "Fine, I will play along."
The key word there is absolutely spontaneous.
He decides as he speaks.
Yes. He was in the process of just deleting it, probably. Then the sheer audacity of it sparks this immediate on-the-spot choice. Will is perfect for these sudden decisions.
It's also for offering help, right? Like, I'll get that for you.
Or asking for things, or making immediate responses. He didn't think about it, he just reacted. So will is reactive, immediate. It needs no prior thought.
But will also covers predictions, the ones that are purely based on your opinion or what you believe. Absolutely. Will is the default tense when you're speculating about the future based on what you believe will happen, not what you have, hard evidence for.
And the Institute actually uses it in their follow-up email. They're trying to project their assumption about Alex's mental state.
They write, "We know you will have many questions." They're making a logical prediction based on their opinion. I mean, any sane person invited to the future will be confused.
And that ties right into the third major use of will, which is making a promise, a definite commitment. They assure him they will all be answered.
That's a promise. It has to use will. It establishes their commitment to a future action. So if you're making a promise, a spontaneous choice, or prediction based on opinion, will is your workhorse. It's very fluid, very flexible.
Okay, now let's pivot to be going to. So Alex makes that snap decision, I will play along. But then, when he sees the shimmering transport pod actually appear right on schedule, and he realizes this is real.
The reality hits him.
Right. He grabs his coat, but his internal thought, his monologue, uses a different structure. He thinks, I am going to regret this.
And that is the perfect illustration of premeditated intention.
It's not spontaneous anymore.
Not at all. He had time to reflect, even just the 24 hours between the email and the arrival. He weighed the risks, the absurdity, the danger, and the conclusion he reached was an established plan, a thought process.
So when he thinks, I'm going to regret this, it's a reflection on the inevitable outcome of the plan he's already sort of mentally committed to.
Yes, going to requires intention before the moment of speaking. It's not a snap judgment.
That makes a lot of sense. It feels heavier, more deliberate. And the Institute used going to earlier too, didn't they, when they were reinforcing their offer?
They did. They declared their mission. We are going to change the way you see history.
Which is the second crucial use of going to, isn't it? A prediction based on strong external evidence or a firm plan.
A firm, evidence-based plan. They have proof of the future. They have a transport pod. They have a facility in 2242. They aren't just speculating, that would be will. They are declaring a plan with a certain outcome.
They're going to change his view because they have the means to do it. The ultimate evidence is showing him the future.
Exactly. So let's just nail this down for everyone listening.
Okay.
If you spill your coffee on the table and you say, "Oh, I will clean that up," that's spontaneous. That's will.
Right. And if you look at some gray clouds in the distance and say, I think it will rain later, that's just your opinion.
It's your opinion, so it's will. But if you look up and the sky is black and you see lightning and your weather app is screaming at you,
Then you say it is going to rain because you have evidence.
you have evidence, and that's the difference. Alex uses will when he makes the snap decision, reflecting his chaotic reaction. But he uses going to when he verbalizes that deeper reflected thought about the consequence, the regret.
The grammatical choice reveals his psychological state.
It does. So he steps into this coalescent pod, and the messy, unpredictable grammar of the past gives way to the precision of 2242.
And with a shimmer of light and a sound the book describes as tearing silk, the journey of 4.7 seconds is over. Time for part 2.
And Alex opens his eyes, and he's thrust into Neo-London, 2242. It's immediate sensory overload. Gleaming towers, silent vehicles, these incredible vertical gardens.
It's a city of perfected efficiency, and the language spoken there has to communicate that ongoing, active perfection.
It has to.
The narrative really emphasizes the immediate shock. Alex is hyper-aware of every single detail, and the language used by his guide, Alara, it helps ground him.
And she starts with the simplest future forms, the ones we just discussed.
She does. She's the picture of futuristic efficiency. She begins by stating her role with a simple declarative fact. I will be your guide during your stay.
And that's just a straightforward statement of future certainty, isn't it? No intention, no schedule needed. It's just a fact about her job description.
Then she moves right into their immediate plan. And for that, she uses the very intentional going to. First, we are going to get you settled.
Which is their firm, predetermined action plan for the next hour. She's laying out the steps.
And she follows that up with a fixed appointment, switching right back to the present continuous. After that, we are having lunch with the director at 13:00.
Look at how efficiently she moves between the tenses.
Fact, intention, appointment.
All in 3 sentences. It shows a mind that has already organized the future completely.
And this precision is, it's overwhelming for Alex, and it leads us naturally to the tense that captures the feeling of a world that is constantly in motion. The future continuous.
Yes. If the future simple is a single point on a timeline, the future continuous is like it's the camera lens zooming in on that point and showing you what's happening.
You're not just at the point, you're in the moment.
Exactly. It's used to describe an action that will be in progress at a specific time in the future. It forces both the speaker and the listener to visualize the experience, not just the finished fact.
This is so key for 2242 because it's all about these ongoing systemic processes. The gliding cars, the automated maintenance, the vertical gardens that are constantly being tended.
And Alara uses it when she's detailing the schedule for the afterman. She immediately invites Alex to immerse himself in the activity. She says, after lunch, I will be showing you the archives.
She's describing an activity that's going to be underway for a period of time. The focus is on the duration and the experience of the tour itself.
It's a tour, not just a destination.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's clarify that. If she had just said, I will show you the archives, what would the difference be? Why is the continuous form so much more effective here?
Great question. The simple future, I will show you, is a simple fact. It's a promise. The focus is on the completion of the action. You will see them. End of story.
Okay.
But the future continuous, I will be showing you, that focuses entirely on the experience of the showing. It signals that this is going to be an active, ongoing tour. There'll be conversation, exploration. It just paints a much more detailed picture.
I see. So it's the language of description in a future world. It sets the scene. And it's also crucial for, planning around other events.
Absolutely. We use it constantly to avoid clashes in our own lives. If Alex said, don't call me at 4 p.m. tomorrow, Laura would naturally ask.
Why? What will you be doing?
Exactly. She's asking for the ongoing action that would block the call. So when she tells Alex, in 1 hour, you will be sitting down to a meal unlike any you've ever had, Alex is meant to picture himself in the middle of the act of eating.
Feeling the future all around him.
It grounds the characters in the ongoing moment of the future. The simple fact of having lunch is less powerful than the experience of sitting to lunch.
And this form allows the narrative to describe the whole systematic nature of Neo-London. As Alex looks out over this flawless city, he realizes that, this time tomorrow, the automated sanitation drones will still be cleaning the spires.
And the energy collectors will be cycling through the atmosphere. It describes the perpetual motion of this optimized future. It never stops.
So the future continuous is the language we use when we want to describe a state of being or an active process that spans a period of time in the future. It emphasizes the living, active nature of the plan.
Right. And as Alex is still trying to absorb this incredible shock and the realization that the simple futures are no longer enough to describe the complexity of their mission,
Ilara drops the hook.
she drops the hook that introduces our next and most complex set of tenses. She hints at the ultimate goal, signaling the deadline immediately.
She says, by the end of this week, we hope you will have helped us solve a very old problem.
And that phrase, by the end of this week, it's a signal flare. It immediately tells you we are no longer talking about simple ongoing events or future facts.
We're talking about an action Alex is helping that has to be complete before that specific deadline arrives.
It introduces the immense pressure of their linguistic research challenge. It forces us to look backward from a future point to an action that has already been completed.
And it sets the stage perfectly for Chapter 3, where this very old problem, the digital decay, is finally revealed.
The pressure just mounts in Chapter 3, which is called The Ghost in the Machine. Director Kale, the head of the institute, he finally explains why they reached back 220 years to grab a dusty historical linguist.
And this whole crisis, this whole problem, it forms the perfect narrative context for mastering the future perfect tenses.
It really does. Director Kale starts by framing humanity's incredible success in 2242. He explains that they've solved most major issues: poverty, disease, energy.
And he sets the benchmark for that success, using the future perfect to define their societal achievement.
Kale's statement is incredible, he says. By the time the 23rd century begins, we will have achieved a Type 1 civilization on the Kardashev scale.
Right. It's a method of measuring a civilization's technological advancement based on how much energy it can use. A Type 1 civilization means you have achieved total mastery over your home planet's resources.
So you can capture all the solar energy hitting the Earth, control the climate, manage all the planetary systems. Basically, you're the master of your own planet. And that context makes the grammar choice so incredibly powerful. The action of achieving Type 1 status is presented as a completed, finalized event before the 23rd century even starts.
This is the definitive use of the future perfect, then. The rule is strictly about looking back from a future point, in this case, the start of the 23rd century, to describe an action that will be completed before that time.
The focus is entirely on the completion of that monumental task. It's done. Finished.
And Alex, who is naturally impressed, he uses the tense right back at him. He says something like, "It seems you will have solved every problem."
He assumes that all the actions of solving problems are complete by this stage. But Kale reveals the terrifying gap in their history.
The digital decay.
The digital decay. The late 20th and early 21st centuries, Alex's time, were just lost, all because of fragile, poorly archived digital platforms.
So they have raw data, but it's fragmented, it's unparsed, and it's lacking all human context.
It's the ghost in the machine. And this is the core problem that only Alex can solve. It's a crisis of meaning, where their sophisticated AI is completely stumped by something as simple as a meme or a sarcastic comment.
And Alara explains this technological limitation, using the future perfect again, to define the scale of their failure.
She says, by the end of this month, our AIs will have analyzed over a petabyte of this data, and yet they will still be no closer to understanding the nuances.
A petabyte. For perspective, that's 1,000 terabytes. It's a truly immense, almost unimaginable volume of information.
And she uses that deadline again, by the end of this month, to signal that the gargantuan action of analysis will be completed before that deadline. But even after all that work is done, the outcome is still failure.
Because the AI lacks human context.
And what's so compelling here is how Alex, the human element, he instantly provides the insight the machines lack. He recognizes the lost slang, the irony, the emotional subtext.
After just an hour of working with the raw fragments, Alara notes his staggering value.
She says to Kale, he's been here 60 minutes. By the end of this day, Alex will have given us more insight than our AIs have in a year.
That's a perfect comparative use of the future perfect, isn't it? In a really immediate context.
It is. She is looking back from a future point, the end of Alex's current workday, to the completed action of him giving insight. She treats that insight as a finished, achieved result that just dwarfs the machine's efforts. The future perfect elevates his contribution.
It defines it as a complete achievement relative to a deadline.
Exactly.
Okay, so the future perfect is about completion before a future point. Now we have to introduce the next, even more complicated form, the future perfect continuous.
This is where we emphasize the duration of an action right up to a specific point in the future.
This tense seems crucial when the length of time spent on an activity is the most important factor. It often implies effort or frustration or endurance.
It perfectly captures the stagnation of the linguistic archaeology team before Alex's arrival. The book describes them as being completely demoralized.
And Alara notes their situation. They have been working on a specific language set for 6 months. By next week, they will have been working on it for 6 months and 1 week, and I suspect they will still be no closer to a solution.
Okay, we have to pause here because that single line uses two different complex futures. It's a masterclass.
Let's break it down.
The first part, the future perfect continuous, will have been working, highlights the sheer, exhausting length of their continuous effort leading right up to the future point of next week.
The emphasis is on that continuous effort, a duration of struggle.
Right. But then she follows that up with a simple future continuous. They will still be sifting through the same data fragments.
And that second part tells us what specific ongoing action will be happening at that moment in the future.
The distinction is subtle but so necessary. The future perfect continuous emphasizes the time elapsed, 6 months and 1 week. The future continuous describes the action and progress at that moment will be sifting.
So if you're talking about how long you've been waiting for a bus, you use the perfect continuous. By noon, I will have been waiting for an hour.
But if you're talking about the fact that you are physically on the bus at noon tomorrow, you use the simple continuous. At noon tomorrow, I will be riding the bus.
Got it. So by using the perfect continuous, Alara emphasizes the human toll and the frustrating stagnation that only Alex could break.
And this emphasis on duration is repeated when they discuss Alex's stay. His return transport is scheduled for Friday. Kale might say to him, by the time your transport arrives, you will have been here for 5 days.
They're calculating the total duration of his high-value visit right up to the moment he leaves.
So this complex tense, it serves a dual purpose in the story. It gives immense weight to the amount of time the 2,242 researchers have struggled, and it frames Alex's contribution within the context of that long, long duration.
It's clear that his value isn't his ability to process petabytes of data. The AIs can do that, and they will have analyzed all of it by the deadline.
Not at all. His value is his ability to understand the messy, beautiful, contradictory nature of human language and intention.
That's the core insight for you, the listener. The AIs process the literal meaning, but they fail on the pragmatic meaning, the implied cultural context.
Alex embodies the lost context of a less optimized, less controlled era. The irony is just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
The sophisticated future needed a 21st century human to explain why they thought something was funny.
And the grammar reflects the difference. The AIs are stuck on the future perfect, the completion of tasks. But Alex is solving the problem of the future perfect continuous, the long, enduring struggle for meaning.
And this choice now hangs over Alex's head. Does he stay and continue this vital work, dedicating his life to preserving his own culture for the future?
Or does he take the scheduled transport back to his predictable, quiet life?
And as Alex civils into his routine in Neo-London, we move into Chapter 4, The Cracks in Utopia, where the use of tenses shift to discuss ongoing habits, immense durations, and some profound philosophical costs.
First, the narrative uses a structural tool that often functions like a past tense, but it's describing a future routine from that past perspective, and that's the word would.
Right. It helps establish the rhythm of Alex's stay before the big discovery that shatters his view of this utopia.
For example, the text says, each morning he would meet Alara for breakfast, then they would review the morning's latest data finds. This is a clear example of would describing a repeated past habit that was expected to continue.
It tells us that Alex, who was this chaotic element from the past, has now fallen into a predictable rhythm in the precise world of 2242. He's adapting.
But that predictability is completely shattered when he discovers the dark truth beneath the gleaming surface, the designated conclusion point.
Chilling. At age 150, citizens choose to end their lives. And this is presented not as a tragedy, but as a graceful and logical conclusion.
And a societal expectation in this hyper-optimized future.
It's a chilling concept. The idea that a perfect society has scheduled death is deeply unsettling. And it forces us to pause the grammar lesson for a moment and just recognize the moral horror Alex feels.
And it is precisely this chilling moral choice that is justified using the future perfect tense. The grammar is used as this clinical, detached tool to make death sound like a neatly finished transaction.
How does the future perfect do that? How does it justify scheduled death?
Well, Alara explains that by the time a person reaches that stage, they will have lived a full and rich life, and they will have seen their children's children grow.
The emphasis is entirely on the completion.
Exactly. The action of living and the action of seeing the descendants are presented as wholly completed, satisfactory achievements before that future point of the conclusion.
It makes the choice sound like a clean, tidy accounting of a life lived. Everything has been maximized and completed, so the life cycle is finished.
It's optimization applied to the very end of existence.
And you contrast that with the messiness of Alex's own time, where the end of life is unpredictable and unscheduled. The future perfect is employed here to convey a sense of control and finality that simply doesn't exist in the 21st century.
And if we need a sense of truly massive duration, Alara points out their interstellar projects, which just dwarf Alex's personal time frame, like the Kepler 186 colony ship.
She notes that when it arrives at its destination in 50 years, it will have been traveling for over 200 years.
200 years. This is the ultimate emphasis on duration, isn't it? The future perfect continuous highlighting the sheer, continuous length of that interstellar voyage, leading right up to the moment of arrival.
It forces Alex to put his temporary stay in 2242 into a terrifyingly vast temporal context. His 5 days are nothing.
So the tenses are shifting from the personal and immediate, like the present continuous, all the way to the monumental and enduring, the future perfect continuous. It reflects Alex's expanding understanding of time and consequence.
And this clash between the scheduled utopia and the value of messy, unpredictable life, it brings Alex to his final, critical decision in Chapter 5.
Alara understands he has to choose, and she asks him directly about his firm intention. She asks the question that requires his premeditated plan. What are you going to do?
And she uses going to because she knows he spent days reflecting on the moral cost of the digital decay and the purpose of his own existence. She isn't asking for a spontaneous reply.
She's asking for the conclusion he has already reached, the decision rooted in his moral character.
And Alex delivers his choice, using the strongest forms possible. He starts with his firm, decided plan, his primary intention: I'm going back.
That going to signals absolute non-negotiable intent. It is the result of profound existential reflection. This isn't a whim.
It's the foundation of his future action. And he immediately follows up with the foundation of his new life's mission, also stated using going to.
When I get back, I am going to start a project, a new kind of archive.
He is declaring his new primary purpose, and it's based on the evidence of what he has seen in 2242.
And this is the genius of the narrative structure here, because the going to sets the framework of his commitment. Then he shifts.
He shifts to will to make the promises that support that commitment.
He promises to dedicate his life to it. I will dedicate the rest of my life to it. I will ensure that the 21st century is not forgotten. I will build a bridge to you.
He's using will for the formal, solemn declaration of future actions, the promises that flow directly from his deeply rooted intention. The going to. It shows this perfect hierarchy of decision-making reflected in the grammar.
And Alara accepts his choice. And she immediately frames their continuing, century-spanning collaboration using the future continuous.
She says, while we will be continuing our work here, you will be working on the same problem in your own time.
She describes two parallel ongoing processes, one in the future, one in the past, both dedicated to solving the same issue of cultural loss.
The future continuous perfectly captures the dynamic, simultaneous nature of their effort, despite that vast temporal gulf. It's the language of enduring collaboration. Their work will be in progress indefinitely.
And as Alex steps into the transport pod for the final time, Alara summarizes his potential impact one last time. She looks at the end of his expected life using the ultimate future perfect tense.
She provides him with his legacy, framing it as a completed achievement. By the time your life is over, you will have created an archive that will last for centuries, a legacy we will one day retrieve.
The creation of the archive is a finalized achievement by that future deadline. This gives his decision such a powerful sense of purpose. He's returning to the past to construct the completed future achievement that 2242 desperately needs.
And then comes the most powerful application of duration, the future perfect continuous, which ties the entire narrative thread back to the problem of the digital decay.
She says, quietly, by the time we see the full results of your archive, humanity will have been waiting for this knowledge for 300 years.
300 years of struggle, of sifting data, of failing to understand their own past. That immense duration of continuous waiting, the future perfect continuous, that's the true weight of the mission he is now undertaking.
It emphasizes the sheer length of time this cultural wound has existed and the depth of his responsibility to heal it.
So Alex returns, exactly at 14.05, the schedule enforced to the second. The world is exactly as he left it. The shattered teacup is still on the floor, but Alex is forever changed.
He's no longer defined by the dust of the past, but by the future he now has to build. He sits down at his desk, ready to start the difficult process of building that bridge across time.
So what the story of Dr. Alex Thorne really reveals is that grammar isn't just a set of arbitrary fixed rules, it's a sophisticated toolkit.
The 7 future tenses are the tools that speakers use to express their relationship with the future. Their certainty, their schedules, their predictions, their intentions.
And their hopes. Let's just quickly consolidate these complex concepts by relating them one last time to Alex's adventure.
Okay. The fixed certainty of the future, that immovable timetable, was conveyed by the present forms. The personal appointment used the present continuous. The transport is arriving.
And the official schedule used the present simple. It departs.
Then, the complex nuance of human choice. That was captured by the distinction between will for spontaneous decisions and opinions, like I will play along.
And go into for premeditated intention and evidence-based plans, like I'm going to start an archive.
The feeling of the future, that action in motion in Neo-London, was described using the future continuous, which emphasized the ongoing experience. I will be showing you the archives.
And finally, the concepts of deadlines, completion, and immense duration were covered by the perfect tenses. The future perfect defined a completed achievement before a deadline. By the 23rd century, we will have achieved type 1.
And the future perfect continuous gave weight to the enduring struggle, emphasizing that long duration of the wait for knowledge. Humanity will have been waiting for 300 years. The narrative just gave us a clear context for every single usage.
And to leave you with one final provocative thought, based on Alex's profound choice. Dr. Thorne chose to return to the messy, unpredictable life of his own time. He rejected the optimized, scheduled, and controlled future of 2242.
So, if you were planning your own next 5 years, which grammatical structure would you primarily rely on, will or going to?
If you rely mostly on going to, I'm going to launch a project, I'm going to finish this degree, it reveals a confidence in premeditated plans and evidence.
But if you rely more on will, I will try to get promoted, I will see where life takes me, does that reveal a greater trust in spontaneity and reaction? Or maybe feeling that the future is just too unpredictable to commit to rigid plans?
The grammar we use reviews how much control we actually feel we have over our own destiny. Think about that as you build your own archive.
Thank you for joining us for this linguistic deep dive. Until next time.